Listen to the Vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Listen to the Vibes. Very happy to welcome Nelson Paredez Parks, and he is a talent manager, an entrepreneur, and a life coach.
You got it. Thank you so much, Kyle. I appreciate being on your show. Yeah, I mean, I've worked on all sides of entertainment, and I became, I was a kid actor when I first started my career in Chicago, and I trained with Second City touring company as a youth. And then, I made my way out to Hollywood out here, and I've been here for, over 35 years now. And I have helped many of an artists build their dream and be able to get their career to that next level. It has been a long journey of me being very diligent, building my business. I started my business when I was in my early 20s, and I've had my talent management company now for about 30 years.
How much has it changed as far as getting into the business from when you started out to now?
I mean, I think it's changed dramatically. I mean, I remember the days where I would actually have breakdowns being put underneath the door every morning, where I would go to the breakdowns and look at the breakdowns that I was getting. Again, what a breakdown is for anyone that's not familiar with the entertainment business, each day there's a service called Breakdown Services that puts out all of the jobs that are possibly available for any actor to be able to audition for. And so back in the day, I would actually get these things physically under my door, and I would get the breakdown. I would look at what actors I have that might be right for that thing. And then I would actually go to my file cabinet and pull actual headshots of each actor. And I would get each one of my actors to drop off 80 to 100 headshots at my office on a month-to-month basis. Now it's so different because it's all online. It's all a click of a button. It's like the breakdown comes out at 10 a.m. and by 10:02, agents and managers are submitting and getting their clients in for these projects. So the business has changed tremendously. It's very digital. I think that we're in a day now that you can kind of live anywhere. So, it's become a global market. It's not just like, oh, you live in LA. It's like we represent clients all over the country, all over the world. Primarily with our firm, it is clients in the US market, but we have clients in New York and Chicago and Atlanta and Washington and Dallas. So it's all over the map, but it has really changed over the years.
I imagine social media has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah, I mean, social media, there's been ebbs and flows. We do represent a couple social media artists that are heavily into the social, and we get brand deals for those clients, and we're able to catapult and grow their careers. Some social media people just want to stay in the social media space, and some of them, some actors are just adding social media as a component to their marketing machine to be able to really grow their careers. At the end of the day, true talent is talent. And so when we're repping actors that we've developed from the groundwork up, you don't have to have social media be a component of what you're doing. It is helpful, as any sort of marketing is, but I do sense it is important to be cautious with using social media so that you don't get hooked. Because I've seen so many, we had a girl that we had in the movie, The Social Dilemma. That was a documentary that was very fascinating about what social media can do to a client. And we saw even teen suicide rates go up and through the roof because of being attached to, your phone. So we caution, a lot of the young actors that we rep to not validate themselves from their phone and scrolling each day, trying to, compare themselves to other people. We want to make sure that you're just using it as a tool, as it should be. We find that if you don't use it as a tool, you can go down a rabbit's hole, and there could be a lot of other problems where you're starting to struggle with self-esteem and issues like that. So use it wisely and use it as a tool.
Now, I want to ask this question without sounding political, but watching different videos and comments on YouTube and channels like that, we see a sentiment of Hollywood where people are kind of falling out of love with Hollywood. Is that making things a little more difficult?
I don't think so. I haven't seen the ramifications of that. I've seen more the ramifications of, obviously, the strike really hurt the entertainment business. And obviously the pandemic before that, crippled it even obviously more. So I think it has been a challenging market to be in, and so I, as an entrepreneur, developed and built some other systems and structures to be able to weather that storm. And I think as an entrepreneur, that's what you're always doing. But I think there's always going to be the business. You just need to figure out how to reinvent yourself, So if you're an artist, it's about like finding ways to reinvent an old model. And if something's not working with your brand, figure out a new way to do it and team up with maybe some new individuals that could help you be able to catapult and get things to the next level of a career.
And I also see that you are into entrepreneurship and helping others get into starting their own businesses.
Yeah. So during the pandemic, one of the things that happened is I talked to one of my business coaches because I think that I've always had a coach coaching me. And I was coaching so many actors over the years. My background is I started as a kid actor in Chicago. And then from there, I worked in casting and I in the commercial world casting. So casting commercials, I speak fluent Spanish. I'm originally from Mexico.
Wow.
And so that really helped me be able to, build a market there in the Hispanic and Latino community. And then my business grew from there, and I started teaching as an acting coach and taught, kids and young adults as a coach. And then from there, created the management company. And, now I've been managing for 30 years and have developed and helped mentor so many young actors over the years. Just to give you like a little bit of flavor of like some of the people that we've repped and helped build their careers. We have clients like Jordan Hull. Jordan Hull was in The L Word. She also did a film with Adam Sandler and Queen Latifah called Hustle. Fali Rakatahonava. He right now is in a series called Unprisoned with Kerry Washington, and it's a fascinating story that I recommend people get out there and watch on Hulu. Caden Mueller Jensen, we have on Villains of Valley View. It's a Disney project. Elias Barnes, he was on the series I'm a Virgo, and also Cruel Summer. Hunter Cloudis from All American, Ethan Childress on the show Mixedish, Victoria Park on The Flash. I mean, I could do this for half an hour with you as to all the clients we've mentored, developed, and really helped build their careers to the next level. And in doing that during the pandemic, I found that my business coach said, Nelson, why don't you find a way to reinvent your business and create a whole nother market where you start, maybe mentoring business owners and coaches, because a lot of them don't know what those next steps are to level up their companies and level up their brands. And so since I've coached a lot of clients from the ground up and help clients, get to the Emmys and Oscars, my coach said, Nelson, now start doing it with businesses and entrepreneurs. And that's exactly what we've done. And so I built another subsidiary called helpandanswers.com. And what Help and Answers does is it's a 12-week business coaching program that helps entrepreneurs figure out a roadmap or a business plan for their business and their life. And the whole premise of it is that your life is dictated by the questions that you ask yourself and the questions that you don't ask yourself in your life. So we get deep into the kind of questions that we need to ask ourselves about our time, about our money, about our boundaries, about our marketing plans, about our networks and how we network with people. So we have over 70 different sheets and how-to templates that help a business owner and entrepreneur truly map out a business plan for their business. I think most businesses in America have a business plan. So our concept is if most companies have a business plan, then so should you as an individual have a business plan as well. So we will help you map out all 168 hours of your week. So there's actual focus to what you're doing with your time, your money, your boundaries, and a general helpful game plan for your life.
What do you do when we're going through economic hardships?
Well, I mean, there's always economic hardships, and
Yeah.
every couple of years there's something else, and so you can't be looking at that. You have to look at like obviously there's a situation that happens, but you have to look the opposite direction and say, okay, ask a deeper question. Say, what do I reinvent now? We have never been in an age like this, like in the concept of AI. Look at what AI is doing to the world.
Yeah.
So this is actually an amazing opportunity to like take hold of if you really get invested in like your industry and figure out how to use AI and your industry in a way that you can actually work smarter, harder, faster, and wiser. So there's so many opportunities on the table if you know how to connect the dots. But that being said, you always, my belief is you always need to have someone that you're getting coaching from, because if you're not growing, you're not able to fulfill like what you're really up to. So I always have a coach in my life, and even though I am a mentor now and I coach other business owners and entrepreneurs, I still want to make sure that I have an arsenal of people that I'm listening to on wisdom, or there will maybe be blind spots that I don't see. So I think you got to be humble enough with yourself and say, hey, listen, I do not have all the answers. Every single day I wake up, I know less and less and less. And right now with AI, I'm realizing every day there are like countless apps, programs, new ways to do things. And if I don't stay ahead of the curve and I'm not learning from somebody, then I, as a business owner in any industry, I'm going to become a little bit antiquated. So for me, it's always about invest in yourself, invest in your education, and make sure that you have a coach that's helping you look at those pitfalls that you may not be seeing, and to give you a whole different perspective on how to build your business and go to the next level.
You bring up a good point. Do you think AI is going to totally take over the business?
I mean, I don't think, AI has a place in the sense that, like, I don't think AI is necessarily going to replace people, but I think it is going to replace people's jobs if they don't know how to integrate AI into their business. So I think it's wise to take a look at, like, one of the things I said to my staff recently in the last year was make sure that obviously you keep doing the job that you're doing at your job, but find ways, find maybe 10 or 15% of your time and spend it on using tools in the AI world that could help us be more productive. So I'm not wanting any of my team to, use AI so I could replace them. I just want them to use the tools that might make them be more effective or efficient, or help them be able to get their job done with more precision. So I think it's like anything else. You want to be wise in the way you use things. And things are not fully tested out. So we need to act cautiously, but at the same time, if you don't take any action, you may be left behind. So for me and any of the coaching that I do with any of my clients, I make sure that there's a percentage of your time that you're spending in the wise areas that could open up new markets that you might even not even know are possible in the way you're working.
When it comes to the entertainment world, one thing it seems to come up in conversation over and over again is you're not even going to need actors one day, because AI will create this actor for you. And I mean, you could see how just little videos on social media, AI will make somebody look like they're saying something. And I mean, do you think that one day we won't need actors anymore?
I mean, when you look at artists have been around since the beginning of time, and people love entertainment. And yes, there will be things that now, obviously, with AI, we can use certain sort of tools so there are certain jobs that might be taken away. But I think at the end of the day, a true artist is a true artist. When you go to the theater and you see a live performance, like, there's nothing that's going to be able to replace that. I do have a friend of mine that's finding a way to, like, integrate theater with AI and do a whole AI theater sort of experience sort of situation. I think we're going to be entering, like, maybe some new models of, like, how we experience entertainment. But I think, true artists that are good actors are always going to be needed in some way, shape, or form. But I think AI is a way that, some jobs will be lost to AI. So you just need to be ahead of the curve, stay up on your craft, and be watching the trends, and do something about it each day, and continue to grow your skills so you can figure out as an actor, how do I stay acting in a way where I could use AI to integrate this as time goes on?
A real live person, you could tell their soul when they're acting. It's something computer generated, it just doesn't have that same feel.
Yeah, I mean, I've been testing around that with a couple different programs, and I've seen that some of the stuff looks pretty darn real, but at the same time, there's certain things where I can, see, it's not quite fully there yet. Could it be there 5, 10 years from now? Sure, technology is growing at such a fast pace. So again, it's about reinventing the way you work, and reinventing and coming up with new ways of operating.
So I like technology, because you can do a whole lot of things. I mean, just look at streaming services
Yeah.
with music and all, but you see, I got records back there, and you get a better sound off of a record than you ever do off streaming service. Even
Yep.
with the little cracks and pops, the
Yep.
sound's a lot better.
And people are always still going to want to go out and see live performance. I mean,
Mhm.
yes, there's the television stuff, but there's also, the art of going to see an amazing play or a musical or something like that. So there will always be a need for actors. We will just see how it translates in the TV and film industry. But
Mhm.
I still think I am a little more worried for writers in certain elements because some of the technologies that I've seen with some of the writing. Again, it's still not fully there, but there are shortcuts to a lot of things. Like, as an entrepreneur, when I'm looking to put together a website or an ebook or something like that, there's a lot of tools now that can help you expedite that sort of thing. You still need to find ways to make sure that it's your voice, and I'm not even discussing like the legal ramifications, even down the line of how AI could affect things. That is definitely a concern, as the future progresses with AI. So I don't know, but I think as an entrepreneur, I'm always just trying to stay ahead of the curve, stay knowledgeable. One of the things that we did this last year is we did this Zoom that we put together. And we got a website that we started building called theAIexpert.com. And what it is we had a Zoom conversation with 90 agents and casting directors and people in the entertainment industry. And we just had a conversation. I brought in about 5 different experts in the AI space that seemed to be very knowledgeable. Because again, I was not super knowledgeable about it, but I wanted to make sure I surrounded myself with a bunch of people that were knowledgeable. And we had a deep level conversation about what AI is and how it could be integrated into AI and what the benefits are and what the possible concerns should be. So I think as anything else, you just want to use wisdom in how you're doing it. And so we just started to do a give back sort of thing to the entertainment community and started an educational resource called the AI Experts to be able to educate people in the AI and entertainment space. So I don't know where it's going, but I want to stay ahead of the curve and have peers that like also are mentoring me in all of these areas. So as an entrepreneur, I think it's your job to get out there and invent and create and create sort of possibilities out of nothing. And you never know where your best idea is going to come from.
You mentioned uh your your other businesses that you do. One of them was Talent Plan,
Well,
and
no, Talent Plan was a business that I had with a business partner years ago, but I don't have any connection to that business anymore.
okay.
It was a business partner that I helped put together this business. It's fully his company now,
Mhm.
but I was part of the journey in the beginning parts of the business. But the ESI Network is a business that I've had now for 30 years that has represented actors for the past 30 years.
What about Break for Breakfast?
Well, break for breakfast was an interesting thing. So what that was is, one day I was, just trying to find a creative way to meet up with friends. Again, I live in Hollywood and I wanted to start a community and a networking sort of opportunity. And so what it was is I just got together with 5 or 6 friends every Sunday and we would meet at Jerry's Deli, and we would have breakfast every Sunday. And the group grew from 6 people to 20 people to 50 people to 100 people to 150 people meeting every single Sunday for brunch. And I had a board of directors that helped kind of construct the agenda for like how we were going to, get the word out to the entertainment community. And so it's just a great way to connect with friends, and it just turned into it's had a kind of mind of its own and started like uh it was a great way to connect with other business owners, with other friends in Hollywood, and it was a fun kind of passion project that I did for about 2 years.
Must love to see you walk in the door.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun thing. And at the same time, I put together with a couple friends of mine, we had a group called Soul Purpose.
Mhm.
And what Soul Purpose was it was for other individuals and myself. And we got together and every single day, Monday through Friday, for about 2 years, we would get on an accountability call each day. And
Mhm.
we would just talk about what miracle or what we were up to generating that day. So it was a really inspirational thing where you had a whole, like there was days that I was like, oh, I do not want to be on this phone call. I don't feel good. I don't really have anything positive to say. But this group of friends was just so committed to have us all be like living out of the box and like really going after our dreams. So it was a good accountability way where we just all each get on the phone, and there's 5 of us, and we would just talk about like what miracles are we creating that day, what specific measurable results were we up to generating. And then once a month, we would actually have a group meeting where we'd get together for dinner and just really talk about our month and what worked and what didn't work. So it was a great way to have community, have accountability. And honestly, at the beginning of my career, that was like a wise thing to do. So I recommend for any entrepreneur out there, build a community where you can have some accountability and some people in your life that could just really help you go through the journey. Because again, we all go through ups and downs, and, building a business, especially in the state of California, it's like, for me to be able to have a business for 30 years, I still look back and go like, how did I do it? There were so many pitfalls. There were so many times where I was frustrated. I wanted to give up. I didn't like my business anymore. I ran out of money. I mean, it was always one thing or another, but, to have a group of people and to have mentors help you through it is an important part of the process.
Speaking of helping folks, do you help children with something called Kids Eyes?
Kids Eyes was a nonprofit that years ago we put together, a couple friends of mine again. And it was a nonprofit that helped kids in the space of art. And so we did a couple events through Kids Eyes, and it was a fun experience to learn a little bit about the nonprofit process of things. And it was a good way to give back, because I think it's important in life. You got to make sure that you're giving back to people as much as you're taking. And one way I like to even look at relationships is like this. Like, there's people that you're mentoring, there's people that are mentoring you, and then there's people that are your peers. And you want to make sure that you have a nice balance of like some people that are mentoring you, some people that are your peers. Because if not, if all you're doing is getting mentored from people, then all you're doing is taking. And so again, like that, you can become a selfish person. Again, if all you do is give, then you're going to feel exhausted. And again, if all you're doing is just hanging out with peers and just partying all day, like, again, you're not going to amount to much in what you're up to in your life. So I find it critically important to make sure that you find a good balance between all of those, and like make a list. Who are your peers? Who are your mentors? And who are you going to mentor, so that you have a good balance of that, like in your life. And obviously you'll go through seasons in your life. You're married and you have kids, you might not have as much time to mentor someone, but you still want to make sure that you're including some of that along your journey to make sure that you have a good balanced life.
Now, if you don't mind me asking something personal,
Okay.
what has been the biggest hurdle in your life?
Well, I think one of the hurdles business wise is that, I like variety. And so one of my mentors once said, you know what, you got to just stick to the one thing and master it and not do anything else. And as much as, yes, that is true, I found that for myself as a creative individual, I need to find that balance of like having enough things, because like one idea helps the other one. And if all I did was focus on that one thing, I might have not had that great, awesome idea that got created with the other thing. So it has been a juggling act sometimes. So I think that's been a hurdle to figure out like how to manage your time. And so like that's why in my coaching program now, like I break down 168 hours of every week. And so like I wear a stopwatch sometimes, and I did this for 2 years specifically, where I would wear a stopwatch around my neck for 2 entire years, and I timed every single thing in my life. I timed how long it took me to have breakfast, and how long it took me to walk a block, and how long it took me to take a shower, and how long it took me to do everything. So I'd first understand what amount of time do I need to allot for certain things in my life. And then I got really clear with like, money can come and go, but your time is your most important asset that you will never get back. Like after we're done with this moment, that's done. Like we can never get that moment back. So for me, a lot of kind of what I'm committed to doing with a client is understanding like, let's make sure that you're using your time in the most effective manner. And there's a distinction between working on your business or working in your business. And so I'll work with a client to understand like, what are the tasks that you should be doing that are working on your business versus in your business? So if you're working in your business, you're doing the job of like what an employee would do, but then you don't have the time to dedicate to building the entity and the systems and structures that are so important to have that thriving business. So time is a real thing that I'll make sure that we've mastered with a client. And I have all these templates and sheets that help you break down all 168 hours of your week. And we go through all the domains in your life. And we will specifically say, okay, so how much time are you sleeping? And how much time you spend eating? And how much time do you spend doing errands? And how much time do you spend on marketing? And we're going to analyze what are those critical activities that if you want to get your business to the next level, do you need to spend your time on so that you get the right results? For example, like with an actor, I'll say to them, you can spend all your day being a great actor and do Shakespeare in your bedroom, but that doesn't mean that you're going to have a career. You need to make sure that you're doing the right things to actually have an acting career. And a lot of that, unfortunately, not only do you have to be a good actor, but you have to have a good marketing plan. You need to know how to get your information out to the world and to people so that they know to be able to hire you as a possible person on a project. So it's very important that we analyze those sort of things. And that's why we like to come up with an entire business plan that we'll put together with a client from step A to step Z so that you know what to do on a daily basis with your time.
About outside of business?
Outside of business, the same thing. You want to make sure that you're having a balanced life with the fun things that you like to do, whether it's hiking or, figuring out what is that list of things that inspire you. Like for me, I love to travel. I've traveled all over the world. I've gone to Africa and India and, been to Europe and it's been, that's really one of my driving whys. I love to travel and see the world. And I think it gives you a different perspective when you get to see and be a part of different cultures. So for me, that's part of my why.
Well, personal hurdle.
Oh, personal hurdle. So my personal hurdle, I think a personal hurdle has been probably like finding that fine balance between family life and business life, and I think I'm doing a much better job of it now that I'm kind of business and life coaching others. I've realized like you need to have those clear distinction and boundaries. But in the beginning, I would be so inundated where I wouldn't take the time to do certain things. And now it's like, if I have my kids like event that I need to be at, like I'm going to that event and I will figure out how to like put together other business stuff I got to handle. So now I think I've gotten that well down. And so I'll put my family before my business. But in the beginning of my career, I was probably not as clear there. And I think now I've mastered that a little bit more.
What is your website?
Well, I have a couple. The management company's website representing actors is the ESInetwork.com. So the ESInetwork.com. And for my business coaching program, it's called Help and Answers, helpandanswers.com. And for anyone that wants to just connect with me a little bit more personally, I'm on Instagram. You can find me at Nelson Paredez Parks. So again, it's at Nelson Paredez Parks, Parks. And we could become friends there on socials. But if you want to have a meeting to discuss potentially us being able to help you with your business or you need life coaching, feel free to set up an appointment on helpandanswers.com, and you can set up you'll fill out your information there and we'll set up a complimentary phone call with you.
Well, I will put all the links in the description just to make it easier for folks to find you. But
Awesome.
Nelson,
Thank you.
Man, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was great here being with you, Kyle. And I look forward to speaking with you more in the future. And, for all your listeners, I just ask you to get out there, create a plan, create a team, and have a vision for what you're up to. And each and every day, just, make an impact, like we're here to inspire and make a difference in the world. So get out there and do it and find some sort of coach, that will help you and a team that'll help you get there.
And
thanks.
You're always welcome to come back in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I also want to thank all you folks out there. If you are new to the channel, I hope you'll come back. Please hit that subscribe button for my regulars. You guys are awesome because you make it possible for me to do this. Until the next one, everyone, please take care Be kind to one another. God bless, saying peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, and on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network